Thank you. We appreciate the option. We're all about giving time back to people and paying them for the time that they're already working. I mean, we all know here that teachers, SLPs, social workers, at all work way more than the hours that they're compensated. As Kevin said, that's not news. That's not above the fold news. But it is a big part of the story. We started talking about what we often phrase as unintended consequences of, not just with the Safe Start initiative and moving start times, but just after school care and before care and the members that work both of those, how that would work. We would like to have the opportunity to survey our membership to see how our members feel about it. When we originally proposed the 8-hour day, oh God, I can't remember if that was this contract or last contract. We got some pushback because people said, hey, like I don't want to work 8 hours a day. I work 7.6. That's why I work here. Kevin, myself, and our bargaining team can't make that decision for people without asking them first. I do want to propose another option that probably isn't Article 10. It would be in Article 7, but you reminded me of something that I wanted to throw up there. I don't know if you want to do it after the caucus report or if you want me to put that option up right now.
Do you want me to take this now from them, or do you want to?
Sure.
Which one? In 7, planning, work minutes, lunch period, preschool?
Mandatory meetings.
Mandatory meetings. It's in 7.01. It's item E.
We didn't start with that yet.
No, but we can put it under this if you want.
Under what, compensation?
Or work minutes,
Yep.
or work day.
I got it.
Pick your poison.
Okay.
So, oh man, I have the Leon contract. So at the end of the first sentence, I just want to add the following words. So it says, the scheduling of administratively mandated meetings and other functions shall be limited to 2 per month pursuant to Article 13.042. I want to add, comma, and shall last no more than 30 minutes in duration. And if I could just speak on it very, very quickly. Before the Safe Start initiative, we found that many of our members were having mandatory meetings that were held by administrators that ultimately were within their contract hours. And now with not having more minutes in the day, this contract language has now been rediscovered. Because this language predates me. It's always been 2 per month, but there's never been a length on it. We've had an understanding, and we would like to put something in the contract.
Yeah, we actually had this very similar conversation. And just about every other contract had a limit. And again, just to consider that, I would like to present an option related to that at this point, which is based on conversations. It's Article 7 and under the mandatory meetings, 70, let's make sure we get it right, 701 E. Yeah. Because we actually had some conversations and we felt like an hour is more aligned with, all of the things that they may have to cover. So in that option, I would propose with a limit of 60 minutes per meeting. It's 2 meetings, so each meeting would have a limit of, what TALC proposed was 30, the option that the district put on the table would be. Did I misinterpret that? Did you say 30 minutes? You didn't say 30 minutes total for both meetings.
30 minutes
Per
meeting.
meeting, right. So I'm saying 60 minutes per meeting.
Per meeting.
Yeah, because that's the conversation we had with.
All right, and before I give you my proposal, I want to give you a caucus report.
Yeah, can I give a caucus report, right?
I have it.
I'll forget it.
So our conversation was kind of what Kurt mentioned there, that, we had some conversations about, I know that over the past few years, there's been lots of conversation about 8-hour workdays. And again, we were looking at, the option this time around, and I don't think it's ever really been discussed. The $8 million that would be attached to that is equivalent, but really to a 2% increase for all employees for that. So again, when you did discuss that, and I don't know whether to put this as an option, because based on our conversation and some feedback from the principals, that they feel like just the additional days worth of planning would be more beneficial than just to add the number of minutes to the day. And so, within the, I don't know if it's another option or what, but, in that additional, it would be, so the language says this under 7.01, the basic workday for teachers should be 7.5 hours on all days when students are in attendance, with an additional 30 minutes per week. So then, our proposal then would be to change that to 60 minutes per week. So that would be the option, so that would just add an additional planning day. And again, I know I get it, you wanna talk to your servers, but that's something I think that we would like to put out there to see their reaction to that.
Okay, all right, Rob?
So, I'm not sure if I'm alone at the table, but I would hope that we can get a little bit more organized. I find like we're jumping around. I'm looking at the snapshots, and I was trying to find a snapshot for this issue, which I don't find, and I know Kerr said, well, because of the beginning of the school year, things have happened. But I think at the very least, we owe it to ourselves to add it to a snapshot so we know what we're gonna talk about. And I know we came in here not knowing what to expect tonight, but I think we need to sort of organize our thoughts, because we're all over the place. And I would recommend that we simply add back to that issue about meetings, that the TALC labor management shall review situations where the amount of time for meetings becomes a concern. Because currently the language says review situations where the number of meetings is a concern. So just add language that says if the meetings are too long, it'll be discussed in labor management. But I haven't even talked to Ron about that because I didn't know this was coming up tonight. So that's my point, is
Okay, right.
I think some of us on these teams, I mean, maybe Kurt, Ron, and others know what's going on, but kind of feel left in the dark a little bit.
We have been popping around. Anna?
So I just have a quick question about the, I'm gonna jump back around, Rob, okay? So going back to the workday, with like, when you talked about your option with changing the language for an additional 30 minutes a week to additional 60 minutes a week for the purpose of planning, I would like to kind of know, we had a long discussion about this in our caucus as well, kind of, when we look at the fact that like teachers are professionals, I think we all can agree upon that. I guarantee you, I work an additional 60 minutes per week already at my school site, and that's all verified through my clock-in record. Like, I get there because of this. I am not driving over that bridge at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I have to leave my house at 6:30, plus I have a high schooler that wakes up early. So I'm clocking in at my school site at 7 a.m. every morning. And I'm working on planning and lesson plans and data and all of those things. But yet I still have to stay extra on Tuesdays until 4. So is the intent on this that like when we talk about the principals and that other article language can approve the arrival and leave time of that? Like, our teachers just like, we can determine how that 30 minutes or 60 minutes is used, or the principal determines it. Because again, I don't want it to be caught up with that other job duties assigned. I just want to, I know Jill kind of has some input on where the intent of this language came from. So I just want to make sure that we kind of flesh some of that stuff out here, because I know for sure, I'm coming there early and working, And to then now have to work multiple days until 4 o'clock is a little frustrating to me.
Jill?
So, going way back, when, Donna was executive director and Mark was president, and we had different, people on the other side. When we negotiated that language, it was to be worked as a block of time, not an additional 5 minutes a day. It was to be worked as 30 minutes. And it was at the discretion of the teacher because it was planning. So if I wanted to come in 30 minutes early on a Monday, I came in 30 minutes early on Monday. And if you wanted to stay late 30 minutes on Wednesday, you left 30 minutes late on Wednesday. And we were to be treated like professionals that we were gonna work that time. It's morphed into other things. But the intent of that language, when it was drafted by the bargaining team, was that it was a block of time and that teachers would work that 30 minutes during the week, and that it was not gonna be mandated to them. Okay, that was the intent of that language.
Thank you, Jill. Anybody else? Carl? Carl, it's coming, Carl. Come here. Right, there you go.
I have to respectfully say that, having been on the bargaining team for about 25 years, my recollection is slightly different, from that, in that, because we were also, it was to help in good faith, attempt to provide some type of, compensation in a sense, but we were also, this is what, remember we talked about, as we made those plans with our teacher leadership, because we knew that there would be meetings, and, because there was an abuse of it. There was an abuse of it, so all of that was sort of connected, but it was in a sense, a sort of another way of when we scheduled those, like, twice a month type of deals, you're trying to stay within a certain framework of time. My hesitation with 30 minutes would be that, so like, I know this month, by the state, I'm required to do the FSA testing training, which is going to take more than 30 minutes. I mean, that's not really my meeting per se, or the principal's meeting, but those are things we're required to do. So, and of course, like you said, Donna was here, but it was there was a general purpose, but it wasn't necessarily that there wasn't, there was some latitude with that, working collaboratively. So I have to kind of be honest with you, I have to kind of sort of respectfully, share that.
All right, thank you, Carl. I guess back to Jill and then Kevin.
And I think over time, the 30 minutes has maybe been a little lost in translation, because it does clearly state 30 minutes, additional 30 minutes per week for the purpose of planning. Planning is defined as time shall be used for lesson preparation and for meeting other job descriptions, responsibilities. Now, I get, you can argue, a testing training is a job responsibility that I have. I need to know how to test, right? Like, I need to know how to use the systems and things like that. But I think as we move forward, we have to start to question, does that training for me to test or something else that I agree, Carl, is important, should that come from the limited time that I have to lesson prep, grade, call parents, and do my essential job functions? Or do administrators need to take their time in the mandatory meetings for that? Because right now, if you're doing a testing training during that additional 30 minutes per week, you're taking the planning time that has been squeezed from teachers to train them to administer tests, time that again, they need for documenting, ESC accommodation, calling parents, putting in grades, because we're required to do 2 grades per week. And, you know, I don't think it would be acceptable to just have kids do 2 Google forms that are auto-graded a week. We need to make sure our kids are truly demonstrating mastery of standards. We're squeezing that time, so I think we have to, if we're gonna add more time, and even the time that's there, I think we have to start to really protect that time. Because as we squeeze minutes away from teachers, we're squeezing their time during the day to just breathe and take a break. And when we think about retention, who wants to stay in a job where you're constantly under duress, where you don't have a minute to just catch your breath, and you leave every day with anxiety because your to-do list that you came in that day with 20 things had 2 taken off, and you're coming in the next day with 20 more. We have to be intentional in protecting every minute that teachers have for planning, or we're not gonna have our teachers. And again, we're squeezing that. So this does say 30 minutes for planning. And I understand that I have job duties aside from like lesson planning and calling parents and grading papers. But the minutes I have to do that are being stretched, and it's getting harder and harder for teachers to do their job.
Kevin?
And I guess for me, and this is something we've talked about in the past, right, is who owns the time? Who owns the 30 minutes? And this speaks to what Anna speaks to, right? Does the professional own the 30 minutes for planning? Because at some places, this is morphed into, this is when people do their PLCs. Because, you know, it's planning. It's common planning, right? But who owns the time? And I think, again, I may be biased, but I think the best way to treat people is that they will do what they are supposed to do because they are supposed to do it. And if they stay for an extra 30 minutes to do planning, it can be when it is most convenient with them, which may not be when it's most convenient for me. I know, and throwing no shade here, but you know what comes next. I know that if they wanted to do something to me for being late when I was a teacher, they have no problem looking at the clock-in time. I know that if I had an allegation against me, they would have no problem going to the video. So when we talk about the idea that maybe the teacher owns this time, and that this 30 minutes and that extra 30 minutes, it is truly up to the professional to decide, then with that freedom also comes responsibility. Because, you know, I'm not one that talks about freedom without responsibility. And if you are not doing what you are supposed to do, there is a consequence for that. And so, you know, I think as we look at this and maybe reestablish that this is teacher-driven, teacher-directed, 30 minutes when they want to do it, outside of contract time, and maybe even 60 if we had another one, that I think we need to have the attitude that, you know, I say this all the time about everybody. 85% of the people are going to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. Garbage man, you know, chief of labor relations, teacher, superintendent. 85% of them are going to do what they're supposed to do anyway. 10% of them do what they're supposed to do because you kind of remind them every once in a while, and 5% of them never do what they're supposed to do, no matter how much you work on them. And I think sometimes we spend too much time on monitoring the 85% as opposed to the 5%.
Right.
And so, you know, I think, again, it's a reestablishing of who owns the time and what that looks like on a practical basis, and the professionals, because again, I have the ultimate flexibility in my job. Most people that work in this building have the ultimate flexibility in their job, that they can kind of, if they need to be a little late, they can stay a little late. You know, there's no like tied to thing, right? And so that doesn't necessarily happen with people in schools. You have to be there, kids come, kids leave. You have to, because that's when the kids are there. But this is an opportunity for us to put out there the idea that we think you're professional enough to regulate this 30 minutes and another one. And if Anna wants to do it early because she doesn't want to fight the bridge, and I want to do it late because It benefits my schedule to do it late, I'll do it late. And if I'm not staying, then I think it's incumbent upon the administration to address that with me and deal with it like that. And so that's kind of, I'm glad we're kind of having the discussion around this and who owns the time. And Rob, I hope I didn't jump too much around that.
Well, I certainly appreciate the discussion, and again, I think to go back to one of the interests was from the beginning that we were interested in more time. And, you know, the feedback that we got at that point was it's probably a non-starter unless we actually paid for that. So that was the option that we put in. But again, I appreciate the conversation, and maybe the option in that, just like, you know, your proposed limit on the meeting, which is, you know, something that we've thought about actually as well, and proposed an option to go kind of along with that. Maybe at that point, you know, the TALC would be willing to propose that option that increases time, but we'd certainly be, you know, we certainly would like, we're not opposed to hearing about whether or not that time is teacher directed or how you propose to do that. We would certainly entertain that as an option.
All right, thank you.
And
Anything else?
again, I think I'd want to survey the greater group, because honestly, like Kerr got a lot of negative pushback on the idea of even a compensated 8-hour day. And so, you know, sometimes we're sitting here and we think we know, but we really don't know because we're not out there in the field. So I think it's something we have a pretty good way to, you know, survey our members, and we kind of look at that idea with them to make sure we're doing something that, again, I think one of our overall interests is ratifiability, right? So if we propose something that nobody likes, it may not be enough for them to vote no based on the other part of the deal, but we certainly want to propose the deal that makes the most people happy with the most things we propose. I guess what I'm saying is I'll commit to get a survey out. I know we're meeting again on Monday. I'll try to get one out later in the week to maybe get some feedback from people about that idea.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, anybody else?
I'd like to go back to Article 10.
Okay.
Rob wants to get back on track, so we'll go back to Article
We have
10.
30 minutes to work on our.
All right, well, I think I have an option that I'd like to put on the table. You know, I shouldn't assume anything, but I think we'll like this one. This again was a conversation
Like it
that,
less and less in my old age.
oh, we
There we go, okay.
Okay, this is related to Article 10.04 4D. 10.04, 4 in parentheses, and then D, section D, which is related to planning, but there's a paragraph in here about special instructional teachers. And we've actually come across this issue, and we were interested in really solidifying in the contract that this use of the idea that for every 5 days worked, when you're covering for another special instructional teacher, that it would be open to any time during the contracted time. So it would not be just during when the students were there. So the example of that is it's preschool week, a counselor's out, somebody's covering for that counselor, helping with schedules. We would also give them that compensatory time, I guess, for that. I think that's a good thing. So what would be, what I would propose as an option is where it says special instructional staff that cover a vacant position, and I would add, at any time during contracted days, will be paid the one additional day at their daily rate for every 5 days worked.
People weren't doing that. People weren't doing it. Had to be during the 196.
But we're 201.
We know.
Well, the language, and again, it's really I don't know if it's a logistic problem or what, but it's listed under, instruction during missed planning. So it had to do directly with instruction, and I think that particular language originally was intended for special instructional people to actually cover, during planning time, but it's evolved into that, when they're covering for other special instructional, we'd never allowed that to happen when the students weren't there. So it really is directly related to preschool. Okay, is that not the case? Yeah, okay, because I'm kind of.
No, this is
this
based
is-
on a conversation that has happened, since, this was last year preschool week, wasn't it? 2024-25 school year. Because we're in 5-6, yes, sorry, I had to count. No, this is a desperately needed change so that folks can get, I think it was school nurses were the group that were covering multiple schools during the time. Ron, are you on page 59 after the cover a vacant position, like line 3, is that where you are? Or I'm just trying to see where you want to insert those words. Yeah, we're in the,
I don't have that version up in front of me. You're looking at the PDF version with, it actually has
yeah.
lines on it. It's about halfway down. It says special instructional staff that cover a vacant position.
yep,
And right there would be, cover a vacant position, and that's where I would propose to insert at any time during their contracted days. So that would also include whenever they're there. So even if they're covering for them on a in-service day.
got it, thank you.
Anna?
I'm just curious if this also includes staffing specialists, because I know there are several staffing specialists in the district that take on the roles, and help cover other school sites where there is no staffing specialist assigned to them, and they're quite often forgotten because I do believe they are outlined as something different in the contract, but they are itinerants that are taking on other school sites with caseloads with our ESE students, and they're not receiving any additional compensation for taking on those vacant school site positions.
They're not listed under special instructional, but it's specifically, they've been asked to carve out, I wanna say at most 6 days during the school year, that they have to keep their schedule completely blank and completely open, solely for the purpose of covering for other vacant staffing specialist positions. And the rub that I really have is, say that my day is Monday and I schedule nothing, and then no one's vacant, I've really lost a day that I could have been doing other work, but I can't plan meetings, I have to keep it completely open. So I think this is what Anna's talking about. But they're not on the special instructional kind of group.
I would suggest that.
Yes, Anna. And this would go in Article 10, is that what we're
Yeah.
on?
I think you're gonna have to add a special section to that. It's different from special instruction, that particular paragraph, the headline is special.
Okay, so my option 15 is going to be I'm adding specialists, staffing specialists somewhere in this article to where if they take on additional roles and duties, they are compensated in the same language as the special instructional, even if we wanna make a whole new thing.
It looks like it would be 10.04 for E.
Yes.
Yep, that's what I wanna do.
Okay, this is just how I have it,
I can't read that far. Because I think staffing specialists are considered instructional staff, not special instructional staff, is where it comes into, and they're often missed in a lot of things.
Non-classroom instruction.
okay. All right. Okay, anything else? For Article 10. Yes. Lori.
I just wanted to clarify, Heather, based on your question and maybe some around the table too, that we had to field a lot of questions. That's why that language was put in there and expanded, because we were trying to clarify pretty consistently for our special instructional staff for coverage and also for school leaders.
Thank you. Anything else? 22 minutes.
All right, I have
Okay, I just have one more
Okay.
option, and it is related to 10.03(1)(D).
Okay.
So currently it says here, recruitment of employees into critical shortage areas, and I would propose that we put critical subject shortage areas. Just an option.
What practically does that do?
Well, I think it aligns with what the state actually tells you, that the recruitment overall, and when they put out their critical subject areas, which they determine as being hard to staff or whatever, really talks about subject areas, so it would align. So the recruitment of employees into critical subject shortage areas may necessitate the use of recruitment incentives. Incentives for district employees will be determined annually by the district, which is part of, I think, what's the legislation is there, but to clarify.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Is this related to the list that the DOE puts out once a year with the critical shortage?
That's it.
Critical, so this is separate from the complementary subject and courses that the district is determining annually, that list, correct?
This is just to align with what the state says. I don't know I don't know how to answer that.
I'm not trying to always go back to the resolution, but in the resolution, there
Right.
was the school incentive, the critical subject course incentive, and then the complementary subject incentive. The critical shortage has a direct attachment to the DOE identification, I believe.
Yes,
And then the complementary ones are at the whim of the district, whatever you guys determine your shortage areas are. So this one is the critical subject list, not the complementary subject list.
I think that was the intent of it, so, again, just.
You need it, Rob?
No, personally, I mean,
Okay.
but the statute allows us to choose.
Oh, I'm not debating, just one is determined by the DOE and one's determined by the employer, right?
Okay, any other questions? Jay?
So my understanding under this one about recruitment, it's an incentive that you can use when you hire someone, like in a critical subject area. Is that right? Because I know in another part of the contract, we do have a payment for those critical subject areas, which is, a whopping $200, I know. So I guess I'm trying to understand what this actual line's for.
I don't know what the relationship is to that other language. This is just part of what the legislation tells a district that you can do, basically on your own as a district, to determine whatever you need to recruit teachers into critical subject areas. So it has nothing to do specifically with schools, it's talking about critical subject areas.
But that's the same list we use for the critical
So that's in
subject
addition, so
supplement.
that's what you decided to give as a supplement to that, basically as well. But what this language allows you to do is determine what, maybe it's an additional amount or anything else. I mean, it's in the law.
Right, okay, but this is just for recruitment, this doesn't have anything to do with current teachers, right?
I believe that it's for recruitment.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was just my clarification.
I'm trying to think, I don't know if that's any, I don't know if I don't know if you can differentiate that. It's just what the law allows you to do for a subject area you feel is a critical need to recruit teachers.
So I think the question is,
Teachers that are going to.
right. So it does include the old heads like me. So I'm 29 years old, I change schools and go into an area defined by the state, I get it, just like somebody who's fresh out of USF.
I believe so.
Okay, but Anna has a question, so.
We also have language on 10.02 3.5, high demand teacher needs area, which says in accordance with Florida statute 1.12.22, instructional staff who are certified and teaching in a high demand teacher needs area as identified by the Florida Department of Education will receive a supplement in the amount of $200. So is that sounds like what Kevin was just talking about? Is this different than that? No. You're in the middle, so I don't know
I
which
got
way
it.
you want to go.
I need steps.
Kevin's getting it.
I haven't earned my dollar. I just looked at it. It worked.
So, sorry, is it my turn? Okay. So several years ago, probably 4, the legislature put in these supplements that districts are mandated to provide. So that includes the Title I school, the high demand teacher needs area, and one other. And forgive me for not seeing it here, but there were 3 essentially. But Title I schools and high demand teacher needs area are dictated by Florida statute 10.12.22. So we have to have them in the contract. As you can see, the amounts are fairly de minimis, but that's what we agreed upon.
So, Anna's question is, how is this, what we just had the, option to add the word subject to, how is that different?
Well, I think they're doing different things, frankly. One is to recruit and retain teachers, and this one is mandated. We bargained to the other one, this one is mandated by statute. And I will tell you, under the way this was constructed, these were put in here because we had to do it. Like the Title I schools is $100, because we were mandated to do it. And this is, at the time, this is where Will decided to put them.
Right. And that's what I was told, that these are compliance issues, like the Title I, for example, the $100 for anybody who is in a Title I school, which again, can't be paid from title, so it's almost like the district's in-kind responsibility to supplement Title I schools.
Okay? Anything else?
I sent Kevin to get it.
Yeah, I'm used to being told. Yep. I respond pretty well.
Just out of curiosity, is there any monetary thing attached to this change, or is it just the change to be compliant?
Compliance.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Quick question, Donna, please.
Yep.
The statute says critical teacher shortage areas. Is that any different than critical subject shortage areas?
I guess we just interpret that as a subject. I mean, I guess we could say teacher, you know what I mean? Which,
I'm
what
asking
that,
for
yeah,
clarification.
so specifically in that subject, there's a teacher need, right now, within the subject. I just think it provides some clarity.
The statute refers to the other statute with the definition of 10.12.07.
Oh, I see that, yeah. Okay, I see that. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Anything else? That's true. Kevin?
I want to propose, not an option, but I want to test one option. And it's exclusively. Which one was it? Keep going. I think it's 14. Yeah, that's option 14. And leave at least with one arm circle for 3 hours. Or do I not do 14 and 15? Doesn't bother me. I'm in a good mood today. Even though I don't reflect it, I'm in a good mood.
Make a strike design of option 14 and 15, what? Rob?
Just tell you that
well-
the issue with the staffing specialists. I don't.
Know enough, again, just like you would like to survey some people, I need to figure out, I don't know the exact special instructional, but that doesn't mean it's off the table at some point, I just don't know enough right now about it.
We need to get on Monday.
All right.
Yes, on your birthday.
All right, anything else?
So we only, so calendar-ish stuff.
Okay.
So we got Monday, correct?
Yes.
Which is,
25th.
yeah, and then are we just gonna go September 8th? Or is that
Right.
Labor Day.
You don't wanna go on the first, right?
Well, that's Labor Day first, so the 8th
Yes,
and the 22nd, so we'll go back to our
weekly on Mondays.
weekly on Monday. All right.
I think so.
Yeah, bi-weekly on Mondays.
Bi-weekly or weekly?
Bi-weekly, right, every other week?
Spell it.
I mean, I'm fine with either one, Monday Night Football hasn't started, it's, it's all good.
You're out of time for Monday.
Everybody's undefeated, it's all good. So I don't mind every week except for the first either. That's fine with me too, because again, for the district, there's this October 1st sword of Damocles. People get called to Tallahassee and talk about how bad I am and how I won't settle a contract. I'm waiting on it to subpoena me.
From what I just heard, the 8th and the 15th are good, the 22nd probably, I would prefer that Amy be at the table, she won't be available there. So why don't we
Okay.
just schedule those and then kind of go from there.
All right, and then, yeah, I'll go up with Dr. Carlin to the Capitol and testify. They would love to see me come, I'm sure. I'm a pleasure to be around. Is there any, with the kind of change in start times, moving it back to 5 or 4:30 or something? Anna, were you saying something? Please?
Please, like 4:30?
It's hard as a middle school teacher to get here on time too, because my
Try
last
4:30?
period starts at 3:22.
Yeah, we'll try 4:30. 4:30?
I don't think we have any issues room-wise, it's 4:30 to
7:30.
7:30. Mr. Dodig?
Yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah, no, actually, we will work on that. Yes, we will work on that.
All right, all right.
We're good with 4:30 at this point, I think.
Okay, Heather, did you have something, or? Yeah, well, we'll press that out too. We have a reasonably good method of letting people know stuff.
So is Monday 4 or 4:30?
4:30.
7:30?
Yeah, why not? I'm here to bargain. And it's Shay's birthday, Amy, just in case you want to fly.
Anything else?
Well, today is LaShonda's birthday, so right? So,
Happy birthday.